How about you?
Big boy.
Big boy. One time.
One. I've gotten one speeding ticket, and it was in a fucking F-150.
I thought you got a ticket for the Evo stuff.
Oh, shit. Two.
Wait, what's the main camera? That one? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-bump. We are back for season 6, episode 1.
Why? Because we moved location again?
Now we went back.
Location.
Because I think he said
We're at-
season 10 before.
we
You know,
are
you're
at
really screwing up Steve because he's sending Dakota files and he's like, I think this is episode 10.
We're literally posting
Good.
episode 15 and it's labeled as episode 10, and then you're saying it's episode 6, and it makes it the biggest nightmare to organize.
Keeping them on their toes. We are back for another episode in a new location, my garage. Because
I like it.
We're like the freaking Goldilocks. We're just trying out different
the
locations
thing
until we find one that fits.
Pan that camera out there. Pan that camera out there. Just do it real quick. Yeah, it's beautiful out there. See how blown out it is?
Yeah,
Birds are chirping.
It's so nice. So we wanted to sit outside.
the Kia boys just came by and
Was that
fucking
them
did a
again?
drive-by again.
Dude, there's a Kia. I'm glad we got them on camera. They are hauling ass through this neighborhood. Just
Yeah.
I don't know if they stole it or what.
No, dude's stoked to be on lunch break from the local high school. But we are back. We're in a new spot. We're excited to be here. And if you're listening in, thank you so much for all the support. It's been really cool to see people continue to come back for the podcast. So we got some really cool stuff coming up this summertime. But Dakota, what are we talking about first?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about suspension. Maybe some do's and don'ts. Maybe some air versus static. Maybe some should you get the cheap ones. Maybe just the real insider info on what brands are good and what brands aren't. Because I think sometimes before we haven't had the chance to openly talk about maybe this brand sucks.
Sure.
And maybe I really like these brands. Just unbiased.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
some tips for installs and stuff like that. Because I think we've all at this point have put in enough suspension that we are qualified to talk about it.
I would like to say before we do any of that, please don't forget to subscribe and check out MartiniWorks if you haven't had a chance to yet. I forgot to plug that before I asked you the question. That's
by the way, if you guys want to know, just a little plug here, what's going on. We have 3 different channels for MartiniWorks.
It's a wild time.
Yeah, so we have a product unboxing channel, MartiniWorks Unbox, that hasn't launched yet, but it'll be coming. The channel's up. We just don't have a video yet, but it'll be coming soon. Then we have the MartiniWorks main channel.
that's the third time.
Kia guy's back. And then we have, of course, what you're watching, the Martini Podcast.
You're about to catch me on film. If he drives by one more time, I'm going out there and I'm throwing something at him.
What are you going to throw?
I have the back of a sofa that's a little bit like a javelin that I could probably.
I guess I'm not
launch
picturing the
forward.
sofa.
Yeah.
That would...
Javelin
It's right.
sofa.
It's right back there.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
It's right back there.
Okay.
Or
Anyways.
I could take my broken front lip and I could slide it in front like one of the spikes. You know what I mean?
Oh, we
And
got
then-
the
Got
whole
a car show
going.
starting. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. All right. Well, let's jump into it. Giles, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Oh, I got a question, and either one can answer.
All right. Let her rip.
And I want to get real here. It's a podcast, baby. We say what we want.
Shit.
What is the worst suspension brand? The one you should not buy.
Max speeding rods.
Okay.
1000%.
I've heard.
Okay, so we were gonna do this as like just a video, like how bad are like $300 coilovers?
Yep,
Right.
yep.
Because like I know like Raceland was like the butt of the joke for a long time. Then Max Peding. It's not Max speeding. It's literally Max Peding rods. Came out of like fucking nowhere, and we're like, we're gonna double down on the shit coilovers. I couldn't even get them installed on my car. The quality control was so bad. Like we were going to do it as like an actual like, you know, compare like how bad we're gonna throw them in the car. I was literally gonna go drift on them.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get them on the car.
Yeah, I
like
know.
the actual part where like the knuckle where it bolted to like the actual hub and everything was so like pinched in. I could not get it bent out. The rear shock to put it on, like it was too wide for me to actually get more than like 3 threads of the nut
And
on.
the coilovers on your 240 are like a 30-minute job.
Yes.
They're like dummy easy
Yeah.
to put in.
They're like stupid easy because like there's nothing left of the car, and like literally like I couldn't even install them if I wanted to. So like the fact that people are installing those on their car and running them around just absolutely fucking terrifies me.
Yeah. There's a lot, too, that people can't see. So not only is it tough to install, but the internals. are so different.
They're
It's
so
like,
bad.
I never even got to,
It probably would have been shit.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know, the first couple of days have been fine, but once you beat on those coils and use them, they're not going to last.
It's-
I do
that's the
still have them.
problem.
We can cut them open. We should
Yeah.
cut them open. Take a seat.
People forget like that it's a use item, right? So it's like the shock is moving constantly.
Right.
There's oil in there that's supposed to do stuff with dampers that are supposed to do
Yeah,
stuff.
it's not
and-
just a thing. Like, it's not just, that's the coil. There's
And
a
the
lot
whole
of
thing's
stuff on the inside that really matters.
yeah,
Like,
engineering
Yeah.
is a portion of the cost.
hopefully.
I haven't had any bad experiences with Max peating rods.
Have you had good experiences?
I've never installed
Okay,
them.
that's what I was curious
Don't.
about. I just wanted to clarify.
Good.
Okay.
I would say the only really poor experience I've had with coilovers was Raceland. I got a Mazda Miata with Racelands, and it was a super common there's a
They're
super
popular.
common coilover kit to put on a Miata because a lot of Miata builds are really budget. They're really cheap, I guess is what I should say. There's very few Miata builds.
Used to be.
NAs. Yeah, there are not a lot of high quality, high cost Miata builds out there.
Miata owners right now.
I could probably list up. I'm not saying that there's none. I'm just saying that there's not that many. But I would say when I had the Racelands on there, I thought they were terrible. I remember actually going from the Racelands that were in it to buying a set of Tane coilovers.
Big upgrade.
Yeah, it was like $60, $80. But there was an actual difference in performance that I liked a lot. And it felt like, and the Racelands were brand new and they immediately felt like they were blown out.
Yeah.
And not saying that like Tane is like magically better, because Tane is definitely on the bottom of the totem
Tane
pole.
has like a wide variety.
Yeah.
They have ones that are
It's 'cause
bottom of
they
the
have
totem
like
pole.
your
but
ones
then
that you
they
have to use half of your original suspension stuff, and they're like $300, or they have literally like $5,000 sets
Yeah.
of coilovers
Yeah.
that are like
Yeah.
10-way adjustable.
Yeah, they're
and
trying to
fucking
appeal
crazy.
to literally everybody on the road.
Yeah, their motorsport stuff is good. So I would say that. I would say that there's a lot of brands out there that seem to be a lot of the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's where things can get really hairy for people that are trying to pick out what coilovers to buy.
It comes down to minute differences at that point, that it's
Yeah.
like to anyone that's like just daily driving their car and want to lower it, it's not gonna fucking matter.
Yeah, I mean, when you start talking about when people are like, oh, it's got 32 clicks of adjustability. Have you ever actually used
It's
that?
like, cool, I'm either all the way stiff or all the way soft.
Yeah.
That's really sucks. No in between.
Joe.
Is it?
TMI.
No in between.
No, I was gonna say
Gels lives his life 2 modes at a time. All
Yes.
stiff
On or
all
off, baby.
I was gonna say Raceland also, so you stole a little bit of my thunder. But I also haven't had a lot of experience with like super cheap coilovers.
Yeah.
But I've bought cars with cheap coilovers
What
like
about-
Racelands and also lowering springs, and I enjoyed lowering springs way more than I enjoyed the Racelands. And Racelands seemed okay, honestly. Like driving down, I was like kind of impressed. I was like, these are Racelands, okay. But then when you get on the bumpy road or the highway, it was like
When they actually get put
holy
to use.
fuck.
Yeah.
My radio popped out of my car
Every
because
coilover,
it was so bad.
Yeah, every coilover is good until it has to be used.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. People will be like, "Oh no, my $500 coilovers are great." It's like, well, because you drive the car 3 miles a week. Like you only take it on like your road to work and then back. You're not using the entirety of the coilover. And when you
Right.
start doing that, that's when it gets messed up. What about tires?
Tires.
Wait, don't you have how are your coilovers in your cars
suspension.
right now?
What do you mean?
Because the Supra's got what? Fortunatos?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. Love 'em.
Civic?
Civic has Evolved Motorsport. It's a MA Performance new line of coilovers. They're all right.
They're supposed to be like the daily
They're a
driver.
budget.
coil-
Yeah, they're a budget. Like similar, I guess, probably competing with BCBRs and stuff like
Sure.
that. And I would put it in line with that, I would say.
Okay.
Sure.
And then do you have any other cars?
Well, I have my Jetta, but that's just on stock suspension. However, I do have Silver's coilovers with Swift springs.
We gotta get those
and
in.
I've never had Swift springs before, so I'm excited to put those in and see what they feel like.
Fortunatos. Swift Springs. I could probably take this off
I
right
can
now.
see the Fortunatos.
All right, sorry. I love them.
But yeah, I have another question too, because I don't know if you guys have realized, Bags versus static. You've had a bag car and a static car. You've had a bag car and a static. You
Yes.
currently have a bag car and a static car. I've had bag and static cars. Where do we lie? We've got to experience both, and I want to hear impressions.
Let me talk on this. Let me
Okay,
get
go.
on my soapbox.
Go.
Let her eat.
Man, air suspension is cool, but coilovers are the way to go. I just like, for me, man, I have the air on the 430 and it's on AccuAir, which is a problem. It's not a good system. It's not even supported anymore, and it's slowly just going down the shitter each and every day. It needs to go over to Airlift if we're going to keep the air suspension. But here's what I'll say. It is cool when you get it set up for like a show thing. When we were trying to get it set up for the track, I mean, I know Airlift did a video with the one guy that's on air suspension, but it's like, it's one guy that's on air suspension. There's a reason everybody else is running coilovers. It is very nice to literally just hop into a car, turn it on, go. Don't have to worry about anything. Yeah. Coilover's not going to snap in half. You don't have to worry about airlines leaking. You don't have to worry about electrical issues. Like, there's so much tomfoolery with air suspension when I try to use that car for anything besides going to a show.
You can't say that about the whole car, though. Like, if it wasn't the air suspension, it'd be something else.
But the thing is like, okay, so with that car, 80% of like the delay of using it is because of the suspension system.
And that's why I feel like your opinion's almost a little tainted on it, because you've had a bad experience, because you've used this Frankenstein setup for years.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
You're like comparing, like you rode the mini bike from Fleet Farm that's $500, and you're like, dude, I don't get the hype with motorcycles.
Yeah, I mean,
I've ridden.
Yeah, but I think that's where it kind of comes down to, though. What they were telling me and what it does aren't the same thing. AccuAir AccuAir had claimed that it was and so is Airlift, that it's a 1-for-1, replacement and comparable to a coilover system. And the answer is that it's not.
It's not. Yeah, I would agree that, but. In my experience, I've ran a lot of Airlift 3-piece setups, and I've ran them for a long time, and I've done them in the cold. I've done them in the hot. Yeah, I've done it. I've enjoyed, and I never had a fucking issue. It never left me stranded. It never was like, oh, I can't take my car this weekend because it's on air and I'm having this problem.
Right.
None of that ever happened. I've had an extremely good experience. I would say if you have a car and you do some spirited driving, but you don't track it, maybe not even autocross. You absolutely could, but if you just have, it doesn't necessarily need to be a show car to have air ride on it.
Sure. But that's the only time it's going to be used.
No. Because I like riding my cars
for
dirt nasty low.
$3,000.
And now with coilovers,
for
I've scraped the fuck out of my car.
But it's $3,000, Dakota. Like, the cost of air suspension is sometimes 2 to 3 times more expensive than coilovers.
And sometimes coilovers are more expensive than air ride.
No. But let's put it to a daily driver. If it's a daily driver and you're just using it, coilovers are going to outpace air suspension from a cost perspective, from a usability perspective, from an ease of use perspective, from everything. The best thing about air suspension is the customization of the car going up and down. But it's 2 to 3 times more expensive.
You're not thinking about the usability of it, though, too.
But what's the usability of
getting it into a trailer, getting it into your driveway, getting it in and out of? No one does fucking air cups. I don't even think Fortunato sells air cups anymore. That was like the answer for static guys, but like it just didn't catch on because those were expensive too, and you still had to do an air trunk setup and everything. Like you might as well just get air ride at that point.
Yeah, I will say I like the air suspension for airing, like getting into a trailer, getting off a trailer. But again, that's just like perpetuating the same fact that air suspension is more for like a show car setup. It's not for daily use. If your value prop is saying I can use air suspension to get the car in and out of a trailer, it's like, okay.
Well, I said in and out of a driveway, restaurants, malls, all these places that have absolute shit entrances, or even you're going down to a show and you have a fucking house Airbnb on top of a goddamn mountain. Now you can't get up the fucking driveway without destroying your car. Man, I would have loved to just air up and drive up the goddamn road.
I would say that like there is an added sense of maybe insurance with air suspension. I just don't know if it's essentially the most cost-effective option.
Right. I think
that's not what the discussion was.
What it really comes down to, though, is like not some cliche, but it's like a case-by-case basis. It's like I have air suspension on the RX-8. There are days where it's like, man, for peace of mind, for longer trips, for like stuff like that, it just would have been better peace of mind. I'm like, man, just go coilovers, just keep it at a decent height. If you want to lower it at some point, cool. If you want to raise it at some point, cool. But like, just be able to get in it and drive and rip on the car. That could just be me getting older as well. But when I air it out, I'm like, damn, that looks fucking good. But on the other case, it's like, I got my 240. That thing is lower than that thing aired out.
Yeah.
On coilovers.
Yeah.
And I just fucking full send it everywhere because comparing the two cars, the RX-8 is a lot nicer than the 240. When I'm on the 240, or when I'm driving the 240, I'm just like, we just gotta send it because if I rip the bumper off, fuck it, it's a KBD bumper. I'll go zip tie it back on in 5 seconds. So it's like, in that aspect, it's like I'm gonna just say fuck it and send it onto a trailer or up a driveway.
I guess when I'm trying to look at it more so from the standpoint of you have one option, you have one car. You're trying to do it all. You're more so on a budget. I would lean towards coilovers.
Yeah, budget changes everything.
Yeah, that is a huge thing.
That does change everything. I'm just saying if you want to have base, I think I get a little worked up about it because while having base, I've seen the forums and everything like that, the pages and people talking so much shit about Bigs and the unreliability and all that. And in reality, they're not unreliable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's unreliable. When it comes up, there's a lot more...
there's more moving pieces.
There's a lot more moving pieces, and there's a lot more accountability on your part
if
to
your
make
strut
sure
goes out, you're
that the install is done correctly.
I would agree.
Like, it's just a lot more accountability on your part to make sure that it's good. Because if it's not, it's gonna let you know, and you're gonna find out about it.
It can be good. It can be very good.
That I do agree. I think I was the only person at Banging Gears. I'm almost confident I was the only person at the Banging Gears filming that was running an air suspension car.
What about Crispy?
And no, because he broke down. Wait, we can't share that.
Well, he's come out and said his car.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We talked about it on the podcast. I made fun of him for his Subaru blowing up.
Okay, never mind.
He's on airlift though.
That's true. But I guess what I'm trying to say is everybody that I talked to when I was there, because it was Crispy, and then it was, you're running air suspension. Why would you run air suspension? Why didn't you switch to coilovers? Why wouldn't you run coilovers? Everybody was like, and like the air suspension wasn't what gave me a hard time. So I would agree with that. I think that it's kind of like the tolerance conversation with Subarus.
Here's the thing where I always come down to it, like, because obviously everyone's going to throw, well, what about motorsports? Obviously, it's like there's no question about it. If you're going to do strictly motorsports, coilovers just makes more sense because why fuck with air suspension? There's just no point to fuck with it because the coilovers and suspension has become so advanced nowadays. It's like you can change dampening, you can change all this shit like on the fly. Like there's just no, back in the day in like the 40s and shit when like, airlift was coming out with the bags for like the stock cars and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you can change, racing. All that kind of stuff, cool, made sense. It was on the fly. It's like there's so much on the fly adjustability with coilover systems nowadays that shit just kind of almost, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it's like it doesn't make sense to go specifically the air suspension route for a performance setup than it does to just go static.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think they have their time and place. I'm just saying the people that do choose bags, like, good on them. It's a great choice. But there is also a reason too, like I didn't go bags on the Supra. So there is positives and negatives to it. And I would say, like, if I could recommend a coilover personally, not just saying this, that's just my genuine opinion, is Fortunatos. I've had such good luck with them personally. I love how they ride. Their quality, they're rebuildable. The guys that work there are awesome. I've just had a good experience all around. And maybe the only thing, if I had to say something negative about it, takes a little longer to get them compared to some other brands. Don't really care because they're going to be in my car for years. So if I have to wait an extra week, I'll be all right. I missed a show. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I think when I look at the conversation too, and we talk about like the track conversation on air suspension, I do think it's worth saying that sometimes the people that say that are the people that are never going to get out on the track anyway. Like they make the argument of and it's like, dude, shut up. Get out there. And then worry about what sort of products you're running on the car. Like, if you wanted to have a really good setup that I found has worked, air suspension with good tires feels almost identical to me, at least when I was tossing that thing around, as when I was running coilovers in like the Gloria or even when I was driving the S2000. Wow. It felt very similar. The stiffness is still there. You're not getting like body. You're not getting body roll because you're running a bag. Like the bag is still a coil.
You can pump 100 goddamn pounds in that thing and be running like. And
they have adjustable damping.
So it's like you can set it up where it's like those things are freaking rocks.
But when it comes down to it, I wouldn't.
But it sits as far off the
get
ground.
an air kit for tracking the car.
No.
I don't think it's right. Can you do it?
Yeah.
You can get by. Mario did his R35 on air.
Yeah.
And he crashed. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't crash. But
Now I have one
But he
last
did it.
question before we go
Okay,
on break.
okay.
One last question. Good lowering springs or shitty coilovers?
good lowering springs. I
Good
think I
lowering
said that.
springs,
Yeah,
100%.
a million times over.
If you could hear one thing from what we just talked about, and you are on a budget, and you are trying to figure out that stock replacement item for your suspension, and you're deciding on either getting like quality lowering springs from like Eibach or something like that, or H&R, or you're thinking about getting really crappy eBay coilovers,
dude.
get good lowering springs.
Yes.
It'll
And
be,
you'd be surprised.
monumentally better
And
for you.
a lot of them give a decent drop. No,
Yeah.
your car isn't going to be slammed on its nuts, stance nation type shit.
Yeah.
But a lot of them give a solid drop that's going to clean up that wheel gap a ton.
Your
Yeah.
Coney yellows and your Eibach springs are like a match made in heaven. Especially like a lot of the RX-8 guys do that.
Yeah.
They swear by that. They're Coney yellows. They fucking love them.
Coney yellows are the way to go for those cars. Definitely recommend. All right, take a break, and when
Yeah.
we come back, what are we talking about?
Cop stories, baby.
All right, we'll see you on the Cop Stories Part 2. All right.
Okay, so we're back, and I wanted to talk a little bit about cops because as
talk
car
about it, Dakota.
enthusiasts, I think we run into the law here and there, whether it's an exhaust, maybe it's having a little too much fun in the car, maybe it's a mod you didn't know that was illegal, but I have something fun before we start getting into that.
Oh, God.
Because we've never really talked about it
We
with
haven't.
each other. I'm curious to know what each other thinks, how many tickets we've gotten that are auto-related in our life.
So our entire life, an actual ticket or just a warning?
Nope, not warnings. I'm talking
Tickets.
tickets.
Just straight tickets.
You had to go to court
Oh, you
or
have
pay it.
Okay, you have to either pay it or take it.
I feel like I know.
I might have said at some point to you.
You have two.
Okay.
You've gotten two, and
wait. For example, if you get, are we counting like if you get 2 tickets in one stop?
No, how about we do?
Because I
how
know
about
of
we
one
do-
of our.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
How about
this is
we-
pretty recent?
How about we do times you've been stopped and you got a ticket?
Okay.
So you got
Okay.
stopped. You
Yeah.
didn't get let off with a warning. How many times has that been since 16?
Gotcha. I'm gonna say 2,
Okay.
1.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go
Since 16?
for a second because Joe's such a goody boy, but
He is.
I remember now. Times are
is.
calculating in my head where he's like, "Fucking got pulled over."
Yeah.
And it's for registration.
It's-
So I know at least one.
Yeah, it's definitely Gel's got
But
that.
I don't know younger gels. I don't know how many tickets younger gels
Yeah,
got.
Gel's
if
got
any.
that dog in him. I think I'm gonna say. Wait, how many times did you tell him? 2?
I said 2 for him.
Okay, I would say 5 for you.
Whoa, jailbird.
5 for you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say 3 for you.
Okay, I'm gonna say 2,
Okay.
3.
Damn.
Shit.
How many did you say for Alex?
1.
So you think that recent time was the first time he's ever gotten a ticket?
I'm pretty sure that when it happened, he came to these like, I got my first ticket today.
Fuck. See, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, he didn't say that, and he would have said it if it was his first, but I don't listen very well. All right.
Or unless it was the first ticket
let's
in the
reveal
Ferrari.
starting this way. Say how
All right.
many tickets you've gotten.
1.
Damn.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, he just lied straight to my face this weekend. That's fine.
No,
No, I'm just kidding.
I've only gotten 1.
Fuck! Yes! I was
And-
way off.
But there's an asterisk. I did have one that I got with Adam Raw when I was bringing an Audi A6 from Minnesota back to Eau Claire. We
Okay.
had both gotten pulled over for street racing. Adam Raw told the cop we weren't street racing. He said, "How do you figure?" He goes, "Because both of us were going the same speed. If we were street racing, one of us would have been winning." And he almost got yanked out of his Audi TT. That was fun. But when I went to go pay that ticket, because I got a full ticket, it was $265.
Oh, that's 2 then.
No.
Yeah.
But wait. I need to finish.
Okay.
I went to go pay I was super nice to the officer. And I went to go pay it a month later. And I went to call and get the citation number, and I did the whole thing. They said, your ticket had been waived. You don't actually have a bill due, and you don't have a ticket on your record. I don't have a ticket.
How do they do that?
Okay, so hold on. Adam Rawl, I called Adam Rawl, and I'm like, hey, man, I don't have a ticket out there. I called, checked twice, don't have anything out there. He goes, no way, really? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, he's like, maybe I don't have a ticket either. Goes out there, he calls me back, goes, no, I have a ticket still. He never paid it. He wasn't allowed to drive in the state of Minnesota for 4 years.
Jesus. But why'd you get waived?
I don't know. I never had to pay.
That's an unsolved mystery.
I never had to pay.
Issued a ticket.
Yeah, I'm called because we said times you got pulled over and got a ticket.
Then two. Then two.
I was still wrong because I said 3.
How about you?
Big boy.
Big boy. One time.
One. I've gotten 1 speeding ticket, and it was in a fucking F-150.
Yeah,
it wasn't even like a cool car.
I thought you got a ticket for the Evo stuff.
Oh shit. 2. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the
technically that wasn't a traffic violation.
Maybe
it wasn't, but it was a ticket in my car. I got disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle.
Maybe
and then,
we should sit and maybe we should just
right.
okay. Let's go through our cars really quick. What car? What'd you have?
For what?
Like, let's talk about popular. Did you get any tickets in the Evo?
You won.
Okay, so did you get any tickets in any of your Volkswagens?
No.
Okay, did you get any tickets in your Supra?
No, because it's only Evo and F-150.
Moby Dick?
But if you guys want to talk about warnings.
I got a lot of warnings.
Lots of warnings.
Yeah.
I definitely, because I used to keep track, and being a really cringy 16-year-old, 17, 18, I would post about them on Facebook. Sorry.
I'm going to go Facebook hunting later.
Yeah, my memories, I see it pop up. I'm like,
Yeah,
anyways, I had 20 plus warnings in my cars.
I wouldn't say it was. I thought I was doing good because, like, here's the thing.
I feel like your cops didn't do a very good job warning you.
Small
if you got
town
20
Wisconsin,
of them.
baby. They didn't give a shit.
It was small town Wisconsin.
They're looking
Beaver
for. They're
Creek.
looking for the.
And we can
Beaver
talk
Dam.
about this. Tips for getting pulled over. I got tips. I got a lot of warnings, no tickets. I got tips.
Because, like, it was literally, I would get pulled over so often. It was like every time I would go home from college specifically.
They're like, there's Big Al.
Yeah, there's Big Al. Get him. And, no, it was just so weird. It's small town Wisconsin things. But yeah, I was like on this streak of like, I'd get a warning and I'd never come like through there again for like another year. Like all of a sudden it was like, there's like, here's a warning, here's a warning, here's a warning, here's a warning. I was like, I'm on a streak, baby.
Yeah.
Until I wasn't.
Yeah, the problem is the ticket that I got. I feel like the times that I probably deserve a ticket is when I've gotten a ticket, which is only one time. But it's like it's speeding. Like I get pulled over and the guy's like, I pulled you over because you were going quick. When I clocked you, you were going 90 in a 71. It's like, what am I supposed to say?
Like, no, I wasn't.
No,
see,
prove it.
Here, I want to talk about this. Yeah, I want to talk about this.
Yeah,
because this is
tips?
one of the tips I got here. I see a TikTok video kind of pissed me off. And it was like, this is how you get out of a traffic stop. Rule number 1, when they ask you what you did, never say anything. And it's like, bro, you're immediately
asking for trouble.
causing confrontation.
Yeah.
There's a right way. There's a thing to know your rights. And I understand some cops go on power trips and shit like that by the traffic stop. When they pull you over, they know why they pulled you over.
Yeah.
And I have had good luck personally, and I guess I'm not telling anyone specifically to do this. This is up to you. Someone's ripping.
It's a 250, I bet.
Can you guys hear that? Oh, yeah. On shorts. What a squid. Anyways, wear pants when you ride. No. I have just been straight up 100% honest with the officer right off the get-go. And they're like, what I pull you over for? I'm like, speeding. I was going pretty quick. Or maybe it's, I'm going to guess if I wasn't speeding or something, front license plate or something. Like, I know you could admit something that you didn't do, but generally for the most part, when you get pulled over, you know exactly what you were doing or what the issue was. And I was just upfront and honest with them right away. I didn't give them a fucking hard time. I didn't roll up my window and show my ID through my window. And am I being detained? Am I being detained? No, you're not going to fucking get on the cops' good side by doing that.
Yeah, you have to remember you're just getting pulled over because you did something. So it's a whole different world. If you're getting pulled over and you weren't doing anything wrong. 95% of car enthusiasts that are getting pulled over, it's because you're fucking doing something wrong. Like,
and you know what you were doing.
Yeah, the victim complex is quite wild sometimes. Like, I get pulled over. Hey, got you clocked. You're going way too quick. And the answer is, officer, honestly, I was on my way to go do X, Y, and Z. You know, it's obviously not an excuse. Here's my license. Here's my registration. I apologize. Sometimes it just catches me.
Sorry.
Yeah, it just caught me off guard. Okay, cool. I mean, literally just this last weekend, I got pulled over in that car for speeding because I was speeding. And I was on my way to a car show. I was just trying to catch up.
Why?
And because I was filming for a video and
No. Why were you going so fast?
Which part?
The last part of this. Why were you trying to
Yeah, why were you going so
Were you,
fast?
like,
Why couldn't you
behind
just
or
go the
something?
speed?
Yeah,
Were you,
I was just a little behind, and I just needed to catch up.
Almost
how
like
far
you're
behind?
running
Like,
late.
Yeah, I was running a little bit late. I was trying to shave approximately 30% of the trip time in
Bro,
my
you were
drive.
like 40 minutes late.
So I figured if I went 30% faster than everyone else, it should even itself out. And I was super honest in the conversation. I obviously just tried to joke with him a little bit, and then
He gave you a ticket.
He gave me a ticket.
Well,
but it
you
was only-
deserved
That
one.
was funny.
You deserved one.
but I was only, he clocked me. He brought it down to being 11 over versus
That was nice of him.
Yeah.
21.
But no,
He
what I
could've
was getting
gotcha.
at is be honest, be professional, and it will probably go decent.
You are
Yeah.
playing the game. It's like you're I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it. It's just part of the game.
Yeah.
You get it. Sometimes you get tickets. Fuck around and
it'll
find out.
happen. Oh wait, does a fix-it ticket count? I think I got a fix-it ticket once.
Let's talk about that.
So then
I have
it
a
might have been
question.
3.
I have a question.
No, there was no match.
What do you think is the most silly thing you can get a ticket before? Because we spent some
Front
time
license
defending the cops, but now it's time to say that some stuff is just downright silly, cops.
I'm trying to think if there's been anything like silly that I've been pulled over for. Oh, one thing that was stupid was my fault, but I get why it's illegal. Was I put new lights in my license plate lights on my Mustang GT, and I was like, "Damn, I'm fucking sick." And like 30 seconds into driving with them, I got pulled over, and he's like, I pulled you over?" I was like, "No, I have no idea." He's like, "You can't have bright blue lights on the back of your car." They were legit, like they weren't like the LED blue tinted. They were just blue, like solid blue.
Yep.
I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that." He's like, "That's like emergency color lights. Like you can't have red or blue. Just make them amber."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I literally just put them in." He's like, "Well, just take them out." I was like, "Okay," and he gave me a warning, and I went on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of silly, but I get it. You probably shouldn't have emergency color lights, but I think one of the most ridiculous that I haven't been bothered too much, but I have been bothered before, front license plates, and I get it's a Wisconsin thing, but dude.
Yeah.
Every other state, why is it? It's different between states. You have to drill holes into your nice crisp bumper that has no holes. Fuck it. I don't run a license plate on my Supra, and I made sure the dealership did not drill into it when I seen it in
Well, it's like
Texas.
some states have it, some states don't either. So it's like I don't fucking understand the point of it.
I know. It drives me nuts. I got one on the back. Ain't that good?
Yeah.
And then if you put it in your windshield, I had a cop tell me, he's like, "No, that don't count." And although I get it, it's like you still can see it. It's just
so the only time I've ever been bothered about no front, because I feel like there are so many people that don't, even just regular traffic, don't run front plate. They'll get in like a freaking fender bender and then just fall off and they just won't replace, or they're like out of town. So it's like I feel like like a larger city like Appleton, large city, right? But like it doesn't really matter. Now if I were to go home, guaranteed population 1,900 people, I'm getting pulled over fucking.
Well, they're not doing anything else.
Loud, bright car. They're pulling me over. So it's like I've only been bothered once, but it was because I got pulled over for apparently speeding.
I do want to say
also you need a front plate.
I do apologize. I was just texting the guy for the new car that we're picking up in the future because you
exciting.
mentioned the front license plate thing.
Did you tell him to not put a front
I
license
said,
plate?
hey, don't drill for the front plate.
That would be a bad one with the front plate.
Yeah,
too.
because when we got the 430 sprayed, they
holes.
didn't plug the holes. Why would I ever run front plates on the car?
No,
that's Wisconsin, and you're legally obligated.
You
to.
can legally suck my balls, okay? We're not putting front plates on cars, okay? I would say the silliest thing for me has been window tint. Now, most of the time,
that's
and
another
here's
goofy one.
why. I get the front and some of the darker stuff, right? But like, if I want to have privacy and I don't want sun blaring into my car, and I like the way window tint looks, I don't think there should be a number or a percentage. I understand the safety of it all. I think in the busier area, but like in Texas and Houston and stuff, like people are running around
200 fucking degrees.
people are running around with 5%
You
tint
need
all
tint.
day long.
Yeah, no one gets fucked over with that.
I just think that up here we have to pick these very weird things to be peculiar about.
Yep.
I'm not sure why window tint is such a disdain for cops to see on cars, but there's so many times I've had cops talk to me like during warning stops.
Hey, that tint's a little dark.
Tint's a little dark, and there have been times where I've been like, officer, I got glasses, light sensitive. I don't know if I really like. Do we have to go through all of that, or am I being stopped for something else? And they're like, oh well, it's just going a little fast.
90% of the time for tint and front license plate, I say 90% because it has happened before. But it's usually like they bring it up also. Like
Yeah.
I don't get pulled over for that singular reason of oh, you have tint.
Yep.
I did once get pulled over for a license plate cover, and that was the sole reason. And then after that, they brought up tint.
I've gotten pulled over for silly reason. Had my Datsun 280Z had that intake cowl on the front.
Yeah.
I got pulled over because of the intake
Sat
cowl.
too high.
Sat too high.
Was it obstruction?
Was it
of view?
illegal?
He thought it was an obstruction of view.
Yep.
Yeah.
And was it? Did you like? Well,
I talked him out of it.
My dad would always bring that up because he was like, "Yeah, we had my buddy had a Cuda back in the day. He had
yeah?
a shaker hood on it, and he's like, cops would bug him all the time because it sat a quarter inch too high."
Yeah, so the way that they measured it was like the max distance from the top point of the cowl or the intake to the hood. And what I had explained to the cop, and it was weird. I don't know. When I was younger, I had way more confidence with trying to convince people than I do now. But I'm like, officer, you can sit in the seat and you can look. We specifically designed it to be flat. So you don't have any obstruction of view. And I still remember the cop was like, well, why are you on the side of the road to begin with? And I'm like, oh, well, my car broke down.
Wait, this is while you were broke down. They stopped and bothered you about the fucking intake on your car.
And he goes, this was down on Barstow in Eau Claire. And he's like,
I ain't going back to Barstow.
He's like, honestly, it looks like you've got enough issues. I just wanted to let you know. You guys are off on the side of the road, so I won't stay here. But, be careful with this car. It looks like there's a couple things that you might get in trouble for. And I was like, thank you, officer.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks.
I'll get back to fixing my fucking car now. Thanks for the help.
I do have a wild
dick.
story about being pulled over, and it's by the boss of being pulled over.
Sheriff?
Ooh. No.
Oh, wife?
No.
Oh.
State trooper. Oof. Yeah. Sheriffs are bad too. I've had
The guys with the hats that are like, talking about an obstruction of view.
There was a specific officer in Beaver Dam. There's a specific officer that went
the state troopers
modified vehicles specifically. And I remember it was my first week of owning my Evo 10 before I even had time to take it to the DMV and get registered. I was taking it to get the tires swapped over to some new ones because it needed new tires. And I pulled down the highway. To this day, I don't know where the fuck this guy came from. Luckily, thank God, I wasn't speeding. I wasn't romping on it. I was just getting on the highway to go do this shit. And all of a sudden, I'm driving, and I look at and I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's a fucking cop. I didn't even know how long he'd been following
They're
me.
sneaky.
So I pull over, and he doesn't say, do you know why I pulled you over? Nothing like that. He goes, this is a state trooper's dream car. I'm going to walk around and write you a ticket for every possible thing I can. And I'm like,
damn.
Holy shit. Okay. So he does it. He starts walking around. He gets out his little fucking notebook and he's writing down every single thing. He's like measuring the height off the ground.
Oh my God.
Then here's the even worse part. I don't even know if this part's legal, but I was a scared kid. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Yeah. I had both windows rolled down because I had tint, so I was nervous. And he looks in. He's like, your windshield tinted? I was like, I don't know. I just got the car. And he reaches his hand in and he peels it. And he goes, yep, it is. Can't have that. And he continues to go around.
Oh my God.
Then he takes my license and my information, and he was talking to me a little bit. He's like, when did you get the car? I was like, I literally just bought this car. I picked up from Illinois. I've had it for less than a week. And he's like, all right. And he goes back to his car, and I couldn't believe he came back. He's like, okay, checks out. You did just get the car. So I'm going to give you this one break, one time.
Jesus.
If I ever see you and you have these same mods on your car, I am writing you a ticket for every single one. He's like, you better get this shit fixed.
Why is he so angry?
And I got 2 pages of warnings. And like each thing was individual. So it was like my taillights had a film and they were tinted. So each taillight was separated for one. Each window was separated.
Talk about a waste of fucking time and resources.
I was like, Jesus Christ. Long story short, I didn't fix any of it. Luckily, I didn't run into him again, and that was that. But I was always scared every time I see a state trooper.
Those are the situations that give the rest of it such a bad name. It's like 90% of the time it's completely fine, but the one time you get that bad experience, it's like they're all assholes.
Yeah. It put a bad taste in my mouth for state troopers.
Stupidest thing I got pulled over for, again, going home. I had my Eclipse at the time, and I had I was coming into town. Mm-hmm. Actually, it was the unincorporated town before my town, because that's how Wisconsin works, right? So it's like the fucking, whatever. And I'm like coming up Highway 13, and there's a cop. He must have like just pulled someone over. So he was like sitting on the side of the road, like facing me, but it's like the highway. So it's like, you don't just sit there. Like, he must have just had someone pulled over.
Right.
I'm like, whatever. I'm just coming into town. And I get pulled over. I'm like, what the fuck am I getting pulled over? Like, I know I wasn't speeding because I saw him from like, it's just a straight shot, like county highway.
Yeah.
Like I could see him from like 10 miles away. So it's like, I'm like, what the fuck could I possibly have gotten pulled over for? And it was because I had decals on the windows.
Oh.
And the one specifically, I had like, I can't remember, I got it from some show, but it was just this little one, and it was very thin text, and I had it going down the side of my windshield.
Yeah.
Like, forget it that it's there, because like even like the little dots thing, it like covered that. Like you couldn't even see it from the inside.
It was on the very edge of your windshield. Yeah.
And I got pulled over for that. Because I had a decal below the AS1 line on the front windshield.
That's the
and then
whole
I had
reason
some on
he
the
pulled
back.
you over?
I had some on the back. They had me get out of the car. There was 2 cops in this car. They had me get out of the car. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? They're like, can you step out of the car? So I'm like, we just want to show you like the issue. And they're like looking like, if you like kneel down to like your rear view. And I'm like, can I just fucking get home? Like, this is a 4-hour trip. I'm like 5 minutes from my house. I'm like, can I please just fucking go home? Like,
that's
come
ridiculous.
on, this is so stupid.
Man.
And meanwhile, you got the people with the whole back windshield or the back window of their truck plastered with fucking Bud Light.
Yeah, or it's got like the American flag or like a duck flying in the lake. And I've seen those.
God bless our troops.
The mural just on the back.
Oh, I've seen a ton of it's like an American flag, and then I think the stripes are like the Constitution or some shit. I see a ton of that on trucks. I doubt they get pulled over.
I'm just always trying to understand, like, there's like a balance. When you're looking at cops and you're driving down the road, and then you're looking down the highway and you see them, right? You see the sheriff, you see the cop driving, and you're like, he's going 65 in a 65. He's building up traffic behind him. Am I the one that's going to pass him?
Yeah.
That literally just happened to me.
That is a game that you play.
You're in the left lane and you're like, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
And you go and you take the cruise control and you...
Go to 66.
68, and you're going by the cop.
Like, don't.
And you're like...
This is what I think every time I do it. Well, if I'm going faster than him and I have the balls to pass him, he's got to know I know I'm not doing anything wrong. He's got to know I'm not doing anything wrong because I'm passing him.
But the problem is I'm always in a modified car.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I doing it to say like F the system? Does the dude think I'm trying to? Am I gonna like make a TikTok like fuck the police?
Exactly.
It's like no, bro. You're going 65 and a 65.
And then
I'm trying to get
traffic.
home.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hilarious like chess game to watch when a state trooper or like a cop pulls onto the freeway.
Yep.
Because we're all
changes the flow of traffic.
Like 80, right?
Yeah.
We're all, and all of a sudden everything is just like, hold up, and like everybody is just eyes locked on like, is he exiting? What's it? And that fucking the poor cop's probably like, God damn it, I want to go 80, but all you fuckers are going 65 now.
Yep.
It's just funny to see like, okay, it's like a fucking pace car leaving the highway because as soon as he takes that exit,
everybody's on.
It is gone. It is freaking green flag.
It's like I always get confused too because there's certain cities, and obviously we'll take a break after this, but like here in Appleton, I have a rule. I don't know if you guys follow this rule, but like my rule is like up to 74 and a 65. That's my rule.
Mine's always 8.
Okay.
8 miles an hour.
Mine is always 79 and a 70. Like I was trying to keep it under. Yeah, I push it a little.
I talked to a cop. I worked with a cop, and he said I don't fuck with anyone that goes under 10 miles over. But that's that one cop.
Yeah.
That's that one. They're all different.
And you got the factor of safety in there, and that's why I go 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you got that going on, right? And then you have the fact. Then you've got like when you are passing cops, and you're saying, okay, do I do it? Do I not do it? Am I in a modified car? Not in a modified car? But then you go to a city like Chicago or Minneapolis,
no laws,
or Milwaukee,
no laws.
That has a 4-lane
territory,
has a 4-lane, 5-lane highway. Speed limit's 55. You've got a town and country doing a $1.06. You've got a random ass fucking Charger going 37, and then you have a bus going 96. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
All in different lanes.
Yeah, left lane. There's no fast matter.
Lane.
There's no. They're all fast lanes.
Dude, Milwaukee at 11 p.m. in the city feels like GTA.
Yes.
There's no rules.
Yeah, it's not a video game.
The red lights, green lights, those don't mean anything.
The cops are sitting there like...
Yeah, literally. I've watched watched people just right through red lights and through multiple. It gets wild.
Yeah, and then we have street takeovers in Sacramento, and I'm like, I can't believe that would ever happen. And then you go to Milwaukee on like a Friday night at like 11 o'clock. You're like, oh, actually, yeah, it makes sense.
There's no laws.
So we're going to be taking a break, and when we come back, what are we talking about?
So we got a couple different things. You have something you wanted. You had a little idea for me to talk about that. And then I had a little fun idea of if we had to sell every car that we owned right now, we all have a couple, and then pick up one car, but it's got to be under 15 grand. Oof. What would you get?
Okay. I like it. All right, so we'll see you back here in just a minute. All right, we're back. Sorry, I said it was going to be a minute. It's actually instant for you, but we're into the final part. I'd like to start this off really quick because something I always find interesting is you have these epiphany moments when you have a car where you look at it or you're driving it or you experience something and you're like, I never knew that. And then you start to think about it and you're like, mostly everyone knows this besides me, or like this is common knowledge to everyone besides me, and you're a little ashamed of it.
I'm a little airheaded sometimes, so I definitely can relate with this.
We have those moments, so I wanted to go through and maybe if you guys can think of a moment that happened to you, I'll go first.
Yep, sure.
When I first drove a right-hand drive car, I had assumed that everything that is on the left-hand side is just flipped.
Yeah.
Transmission, turn signals, windshield wipers, everything. And I was wrong. And it took me more time to realize that really the only thing that's switched are the stalks, like the turn signal and the windshield wiper. But when you're driving a right-hand drive car and you're learning how to figure out how to shift with your left hand, to figure out that you need to use your right hand for the turn signals and your left hand for the windshield is the most ass-backwards thing.
My brain can't.
I got it wrong so many times. I remember picking up the Gloria from Driver Motorsport and looking over at Lars and being like, I wonder how far we can make it before I end up turning on the windshield wipers.
Immediately.
I literally braked, went to put on the turn signal to go turn left, and as somebody's giving me a thumbs up, I fucking threw the windshield wipers on. Less than a mile. First turn signal.
Easiest way to tell if someone is new to driving a right-hand
you see
car.
They're in the middle of the day, beautiful out, windshield wipers. That was me in the Supra too.
That's me.
I have one. I was hoping you were going to have a stupider one than that because now I feel really stupid. But it was my first car like this. So I picked up the Supra. I took it to my parents' house. And, of course, my dad comes out and he wants to check it out. And he's like, this thing's sharp. Let me see under the hood. I'm like, yeah. I go to pop the hood and I'm like, where's the fucking lever? Where's the fucking lever? There's a fucking lever. I'm like reaching all around it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I like shut it, go back in, pop it again. And I'm like, dude, I can't find the lever. I was like, Dad, I don't know how to open it. He's like, oh my God. All right. Anyway. And we're going to look around. I later learned you have to pull twice on the hood lever to pop the hood because it has
weird.
And
it's like a safety mechanism.
The reason I learned is because it has a ×2 on the lever. It says ×2, but I wasn't looking at that. I was like looking for this and then looking for the.
It's like you pop it and you know.
Yeah, and I felt so dumb. But like I said, it was the first time I had a car like that. The hood on the Supra is fucking massive because it's like the fenders too.
Yeah,
but yeah, so
that's a cool hood,
that was my stupid moment.
Yeah, mine was it was actually when I went and test drove the FRS. I went into the dealership. I was like, hey, bright orange FRS up front. Tell me about it. And they're like, well, you just want to drive it? Here's the keys. Like, we'll pull it around for you. I was like, sick, yeah. I'll go drive it. And I'm like, they're like, you know how to drive manual, right? I'm like, yeah, I know how to drive manual. Like, like, what am I, an idiot? And they're like, okay. And they pull it up. So they like pull it up into the spot. And I'm like, all right. And they're like, here's the keys, go for it. And I was like, all right. I like, go sit in it. And I'm like, how the fuck do I get this thing in reverse? And they're all just like, they're watching. And I'm like, I can't fucking find it. I'm like, I can't find it. I'm like, I see it on the shift knob. And it's like,
but it had the reverse.
Like, yeah, but so it has the reverse lockout. And I've never driven a car with reverse lockout.
Because when we went to pick up the GR86,
that's why the
first thing you said was, hey, by the way, reverse is over and up.
That was nice.
I wanted to just make sure that it wasn't as embarrassing as it was for me.
Trauma. You said it out of trauma.
I did. Because like I'm literally sitting there, I'm like, okay, well maybe do you have to push down, or is it like my E36 is like you really had to like push it over? Like, where the fuck is it? And I had to ask I had to go. I'm like, how
Oh, you had to
how
bite
do
the
you
bu-
get it
I
into
didn't put
reverse?
this
And
in
they're
reverse.
like, oh, you just pull up on the thing. I'm like, what, the shift knob? They're like, no, the reverse lock. I'm like, what the fuck is a reverse lockout? I was like, coming from a 1998 Mitsubishi Eclipse to a freaking 2013 Scion FRS. I had no
Yeah.
idea what the hell was happening.
Yeah, there's some silly things you learn over time that you hope nobody notices, but eventually people notice. I remember I spent like 20 minutes trying to fold down the rear seats of that car to realize that those cars don't have fold down rear seats, and
Yeah.
most Japanese JDM cars don't have foldable rear seats.
Yeah,
period.
found that one out the hard way.
My buddy had an S2000 in the past, Neff, and he'd always let me drive the fucker. And I don't know why this time, but I was driving alone and I had it, and he wanted me to fill it up with gas. So I was like, yeah, sure. So I stopped, pulled over, went to fill up with gas. Nope. Dude, to get the gas door open, I couldn't for the life of me find where. I had to like, call him because I was even on Google. I was like just struggling. I felt so. I'm standing at the pump and I'm just like walking around the car. I'm like trying to get it, and it has a weird like little lever. That's it. I can't even remember if it's by the like door.
it's like-
Yeah,
it's like
it's
under- it's
inside.
back behind, yeah.
It's inside the
I
center
still
console in the
can't even
back.
remember. Okay,
Yeah.
I knew it was a weird spot, but yeah, I felt really stupid then too.
That one always gets me too, and it's always when I borrowed an R8 for my wedding.
Yep.
And it's even worse when you have a car like that and
you
you're
look
pulling up to a fucking Quick Trip to fill it up. And everybody's like, hey, and they're like asking you questions. And I'm like poking at the fucking fuel. They're like, oh, the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, no, it's an Audi, V10.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck do I open that? And then the same exact thing happened when I picked your Ferrari up from Green Bay, and it was out of gas. And I pulled out in like this tiny like farm town Quick Trip, and everyone's like, oh, hey, what is that? And I'm like, the same thing. Where the fuck is
How do I get the
I'm like,
fuel
they
door?
always talk to you, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I love talking about it, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's not my car. And then I'm just trying to fill it up with gas, and they're asking me questions. I'm like looking like a fucking idiot trying to figure out how to work
It's even
this thing.
yeah. I remember it took me. I was sitting in that car when I first got it, googling all sorts of silly things. I still don't know how to change my odometer back to my lifetime odometer. It only has the
It's probably
trip
wrong anyway.
mileage. And every single time I try to learn about it on the internet, it's 16 pages of pompous Ferrari owners fucking fighting over how Ferrari should design their systems instead of just telling me how do I go from trip A to overall trip odometer
You
mileage.
don't think it has anything to do with the junkyard or like the 5 accidents that it has?
No. This car is on a new life.
Yep.
It is evolved. The only thing that still upsets me is that to do anything with the car requires the power to be on. Everything has to be in accessory mode for you to have access to. So the gas cap, you have to have the power on.
Oh, that's annoying.
Right? Any single time you're using it, you always have to have the accessory on. It will not open unless...
I got it open.
No, you did not.
We'll have to test that theory.
Test
I
it
got
right
it.
now.
Wait,
It's right there.
I have a
got
quick
it
story.
open. The
It
car was
reminded me
not on.
of the odometer
no,
thing.
accessory. It has to be, the key has to be turned over to accessory.
Key was in my pocket.
I don't believe you.
We'll have to try it.
Do it right now.
We'll confirm on
Go.
IG or something. Anyways, a quick story. The odometer thing with the trip. I had a situation like that, except it was with a motorcycle. I had a Honda CBR 600, or no, it was 1000 that I was selling, and I sold it. Really good dude that picked it up. He's really nice. And a few months went by. Also, he messaged me. He's like, "Bro, why did you lie about the odometer?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "This thing has like 3,000 more miles than what you listed it as." He's like, "It's not a big deal. I just want, like, why'd you lie?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Okay, I think I know what happened. Your trip meter had like 6,000 miles on it.
Oh my God.
And the odometer has like
9,000.
Yeah." And I was like, dude, I am so fucking sorry. I was like, for the whole time I had the bike, I thought I had, like, I think I wrote on the title, whatever the trip mileage was. And I felt so bad. He's like, dude, it's not a big deal. No worries. I was just really curious if there was like swapped or what the deal was.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I was like, I feel so bad. Next time you're in town, please, I'll buy you dinner. Like, I feel so fucking bad. So that was, always check the trip meter.
There's always those times when you sell a used car, especially a modified car, where you try to share with the new owner everything you can,
but still want to sell it to him.
But you do not get it right.
No, yeah.
There's always something you forget. There's always a quirk or a feature.
Or like, a quirk that like you've become so accustomed to, and it's just normal to you, but to someone else, it's like, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
I remember the FRS I sold. Great kid, sold it to, and great to work with. And like, it was like, I'm like, yeah, I think I told him everything. Like, there really wasn't anything. Like, the headlight was a little wonky. Like, I think like the boomerang LED thing was like acting up because it was just a cheap set of headlights.
Yeah.
And I was like, told him everything, and it was like a week later. He's like, hey, this thing got underglow on it. I was like, yeah, it got underglow. He's like, how the fuck do I shut it off? Like, it's just red and it won't turn off, and it killed the battery. I'm like, I was like, oh. Yeah, the one wire was a little loose. I forgot about that. If it comes undone a little bit, it just turns on and like short circuits and won't shut off, and it drains the battery. Totally forgot about that. Sorry. He's like, oh, okay. I was just wondering. He's like, I've been fighting with it like for hours trying to get it to fucking turn off.
If there's ever a day that I sell the 430, I'm just gonna tell the guy, like, I'm gonna put the list together, and then I'm gonna be like, you are going to block off 60 minutes before you actually want to drive the car. I'm going to teach you because the amount of information required.
So that's why you just kept it.
Not because it's a Ferrari, because depending on what wheel well you go into, there's a different story. There's different information that you need to be aware of.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
You know,
I have a question.
Sorry,
now that we're all
transition.
talking, now that we're all talking about all of our cars and our things, what if you had to sell every single one that you owned? So the Gloria, the SK, the Ferrari, the new car you're picking up, they're all going. Gels, you're selling all of them. Your daily, your drift car, the RX-8, they're all gone. Now you get one car, and it has to be under 15K. It gets tricky because the market is kind of wild.
Yeah.
And it has to do everything I would want it to
different
do.
answer.
Yeah, I think I would honestly get back into a clean 20th anniversary Mark IV GTI, or if I could find a Harlequin, I would try to. I think I could get one for 15K. Honestly,
sure.
It's just a Golf. So that would probably be where I was at. I was trying to look. You can get some really fucking clapped S2000s for 15K.
I know.
So
damn.
I maybe would lean that, but they're so beat on. It's fucking hard. There's a few Fiesta ST I thought about because I like the Focus ST platform a ton. Honestly, I could probably get a decent Focus ST for 15 too. So but I've already owned that platform, so I probably wouldn't hop back into it. What do you guys got? You guys got anything?
I'd hop back into an E36. I think
you've always talked that up.
I loved that car for as much of a pile of shit that it was for $900.
You wouldn't want to. Well, I guess I'm going back into a new platform too.
I would want to go get I'd be like 15K.
Yeah,
can get you a really nice 325.
That's what I'm saying. Same thing with a 20th anniversary. You get a really nice 20th for 15K.
It can look good. I can still I daily drove the E36. I drove it all year.
Yeah,
I could drift it. I think I would have a lot of fun all around in an E36.
Sure. Alex thinking so fucking hard right now.
It's hurting. It's hurting. I don't have an answer just yet. I'm just still thinking.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's scary.
I mean, you can give a few options. It's not like this one you say is the one.
Talk
like
through it.
Okay.
He loves Miatas.
I love Miatas.
Yeah.
My first thought goes to finding a 2002 E55 AMG.
Oh God.
I suppose you can find those for
high horsepower, tons of fun,
tons of issues.
Yeah, but that's normal for me.
I know. Yeah, you're right. You love broken cars. You're right.
Then I'm like, okay, well, BMW would be the best bet at that price.
What are you getting for 15K though?
I would find myself like a 330.
Like this is your
E46.
one car, brother.
Yeah.
You get E46.
Yeah, those are good cars for the most part.
Yeah.
Got a little issues, but
a couple things here and there. So then 15,000. Then I start getting a little wonky out there. Honestly, if it had to be one car for the rest of my life, I'd find a really clean Lexus LS400.
Oh, and you could save some money too. Even do that. You can get those pretty cheap. Yeah, those are underrated. Now that you talked about it, though, you're not gonna be able to buy them.
Yeah, so. one UZ, they last forever.
Smooth, luxurious interior.
Comfy.
Only thing you're throwing away is you're not gonna get a manual one.
Yeah,
because there's only auto.
You really won't get anything that's fast or track stuff.
You'd be comfy as fuck.
I was also thinking too, because I was thinking about this for a little bit. I would also look, because again, for 15K, you get a pretty clean Honda. So I'm talking Preludes.
Yeah.
We'll throw an Acura too. Integras. Yeah. A Civic maybe. As you can tell, I just like front wheel drive cars apparently, but I think you could get into that platform and get a very nice car for 15K.
Another fun one I was thinking about, which not everybody's taste, so I understand, But in the early 2000s, from 1998 to 2004, Audi had a really unique chassis engine configuration where you could get an Audi Allroad, which was a wagon. They naturally came a little lifted, but the engine was a 2.7 twin turbo, the same exact motor and transmission as a B5 S4, which slaps. You get a 6-speed twin turbo all-road lifted wagon, and those ones you can find for like 12 to 14 inch.
Yeah, that's a really good call.
And I like those a lot.
Wagon TDI. What was I thinking?
And I think that's what I would pick now that I think about it, because then you can get everything you'd want.
Yeah. Between E36 or I'd hop back into an FRS.
FRS.
Are those in 15K?
That's right now.
Isn't that clap?
They're a little rough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool cars. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you pick yours?
Yeah, I said
GTI?
20th anniversary GTI. But now that we're talking about price, I would consider a Jetta Sportwagen TDI as well. I love that car so much. But as my only car... You just got me excited on the way. Hey, for a guy that owns a bunch of Japanese cars, you really like Euro cars.
It's so weird how that works.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure this out. Why is it that I want
a healthy mix, like, or have had a healthy mix?
But like, I feel like he always gravitates towards Euros when he's talking about.
When it
but then he doesn't
when it gets to like the nice car, it's always a Euro.
Yeah. I can honestly say without a doubt that there is not, and it's not meant to throw shade, but there is not a single car in my dream list that is Japanese.
Wow.
Shade.
Wow. Just got a little dark here from all the shade.
It's all either domestic or it's European.
Oh, weird. You're weirdo.
There's cool domestic cars out there that deserve to be talked about. Absolutely.
Name one.
ACR Viper.
All right, that's fine.
Oh, there's cool expensive American cars like Ford GTs,
cars that
ACR
are still
Vipers.
The cars that are still made.
Cars that are still made.
I think that if we ever got our hands on the C8 Z06, we'd fall in love.
I'm sure the Z06 would be fucking a ripper.
Yeah,
it would be crazy.
I've heard that finding a way.
I just don't think it's anything I'd choose though.
I think it depends on where we're at in life. But like, if I could just pick, if I was like, God, I really need a car that can just do it all at the track, play around, and be what will eventually be affordable, C8 Z06.
All right, speaking of new cars, we gotta go pick yours up.
We do. One last thing,
okay,
before we we don't need to talk about that. I think the Glory's getting kicked out. One last thing before we go.
Sad.
I have a question.
Okay, ready.
And we're gonna have, if you guys are still listening, I want you to drop in the comments your guilty pleasure here. What is either one brand, one car, or one manufacturer of some kind that you defend, that you love, even though you know you shouldn't?
Ooh, that I shouldn't. That's a good question. Does it have to be car related? Are we saying?
It doesn't have to be. It can be anything that you defend, even though you know you shouldn't.
100% Apple. 100% Apple. For whatever reason, they tricked me so goddamn good that I defend them. Even like, I buy a laptop and it only has USB-C ports, and it is the most inconvenient thing in my entire life. I'll still tell you it's a fucking good ass laptop and that I love it. Apple has tricked me. They won. They did very good marketing. I would say that's a brand. Automotive related, I would the brand I think I defend the most, but honestly I think it deserves the defending. I don't think it's wrong, is Honda. I think they're a little slept on. They get too much shit because of some of the owners and the affordable vehicles they make. But in reality, you look at the general scope of everything that Honda does, it's all good. And I love that shit. Their lawnmowers, their motorcycles,
their generators,
their fucking cars. Everything Honda does,
they got jets.
Fucking good.
Oh, yeah.
The Honda jet.
So I would say,
and they make really good Formula One engines.
I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure. I like Honda and I'm proud.
All right. Gels?
Mazda?
I mean,
yeah, I agree with you. Alex talks good about Mazda a lot, though, too.
Mazda
specifically the rotary.
Okay,
They're boring nowadays, though.
Mazda is Ford's mistress 100% now, because it's only supported like by the small fraction of love that Ford will give it every once in a while in its partnerships.
Mazda and Mitsubishi is just boring now.
Well, the only difference between Mazda and Mitsubishi is the fact that Mazda has the Miata.
Yep.
If Mazda didn't have the Miata anymore, it'd be
they'd
just
have
like
nothing.
Mitsubishi.
Yeah, they'd be like the same fucking
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
It'd be identical.
Yeah, no, I think it's the rotary thing. It's like I have one. I do really enjoy it for now, and stuff like that. So it's like you got to stand up for it because I have one, and it's like it makes cool noises and it's different and quirky and weird. But
Yeah. What about
I
you,
know
Alex?
that it's gonna hurt me someday.
I think that Mercedes-Benz is the most overplayed car, with all the widgets and all the crappy and
They depreciate like crazy too.
None of Mercedes is really that good, in my opinion, at anything in particular. But I will always defend the Mercedes-Benz AMG badge like to death. I love the E55 AMGs, the E63 AMGs, the Mercedes-Benz AMG itself. I love them and people are like, but man, like you get inside and like the interior is like fake carbon and it's fake this and it's kind of this weird. It's like, yeah, everything about the car really isn't that great, but the motor is
good.
sick.
It is sick.
It's in my opinion, Mercedes AMG is no different than somebody buying an upper trim Chevy Camaro.
It's just
honestly.
really weird to me, like how all those cars are like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then after a year they're like $10K.
And people are
that just
stupid
blows
enough
my
to
mind.
buy them for
Don't
that.
ever buy a new Mercedes. Don't, please, for the love of God. Yeah, honestly, you probably shouldn't buy any car brand new.
You don't want to buy any
But-
car within like the first 5 years, which is a really bad thing for me because we're about to go get one.
I was going to say, this guy's literally
There's gonna
doing
be
this.
two
but
cars that are like brand new.
Yeah,
in
it
your
was so
driveway right
funny.
now.
Who were we talking to? It was like we were talking in a meeting or something. We were excited that, dude, I'm getting a car for MSRP. And we were talking like, man, back in the day, we used to be excited about getting a deal. Now we're excited about getting a car for
What it should
MSRP.
be.
Just
Yeah.
the normal price.
I know.
Like, that's so sad
The good
that you're
news-
excited to just pay the normal price
Yeah,
for a
that's
vehicle.
fucked.
Good news, if the car is fun, we're going to have a ton of content. The gooder news is if it sucks, we'll
have even
sell it and
better
make
content.
money.
Yeah.
No, if it sucks, we do durability test and we run it into the ground.
No.
I got whistling diesel.
Yeah,
All
we're,
right.
we're gonna go jump it.
With that being said, we haven't had lunch yet. It's like
I'm
2
so
o'clock.
hungry
And
that
we
I'm
have to
getting
go
way
eat.
over here.
I'm getting hangry.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments. I know we've been asking you to drop a couple comments, but one thing that would be cool, give us some subjects to talk about in the next episode. We'll go take a look at them. We'll add them in a future episode. But in the meantime, thank you so much. Check out MartiniWorks.com. Please, it would mean a lot. Make sure you subscribe to the channels. Thanks for the support.
I'm gonna go eat.
Well, I'm going to go cook for you, bud.
I'm hungry.
All right. Goodbye.